Hey everyone, Chloe here and welcome back to this feminine channel. And if you are new here, ladies and lurkers, welcome. So today's feminine school video is going to be all about taking a deeper dive into the concept of hypogamy and on what to do if you are caught up in a hypogamous dynamic, featuring the cautionary tale story of our beloved Concrete Rose and the eternal survivor, the queen of hip-hop soul, Miss Mary J. Blige. Now, hypogamy truly is a tough position to be in as a woman, yet there are millions of women around the world who are footing the bills in their romantic relationships or are paying child support and are paying alimony in their divorces. And yes, it is a very sad and a very painful reality that isn't going away anytime soon. Now, if you listen to the lyrics of Mary J. Blige's latest video, Rent Money, featuring the Harlem rapper Dave East, the song is all about the hurt, the pain, the rage, the anger, the bitterness, the frustration, and all of the time and money that Mary had invested into her now role reversal bum, bank account draining ex-husband / ex-business manager Kendu Isaacs. Now, from the beginning of their marriage in 2003, Mary was indeed the de facto hypogamous breadwinner and eventually became overwhelmed with her fiscal responsibility to finance both her husband's and her stepchildren's lives. And unfortunately, the disrespectful dam broke, and their role reversal divorce made humiliating headlines in 2017 as Kendu aggressively went for Mary's money jugular by requesting both palimony and child support. And reportedly, since their divorce, Mary is now paying a whopping $30,000 a month. That has forced Mary J. Blige to once again continue to turn her pain into profit by having to tour at the age of 51 to pay her divorce bills. And to add insult to injury, during their marriage, Kendu allegedly was having a full-out affair with a label artist who at the time was less than half of Mary's age. She was 23 and was a young woman that Kendu spent over $450,000 on to impress with all of Mary J. Blige's hard-earned money. And there were other marital flings and quote-unquote girlfriends that Kendu were unwilling to let go of, that Mary had turned a blind eye to as well until she no longer couldn't. Now, Kendont is a part of a continually growing group of strategic and audacious money-grubbing leeches and gigolos who have zero man-child shame in fleecing their breadwinner, go-getter, bossed-up wives. And because there is such an abundance of bossed-up, accomplished women out here with a hefty money bag, these kinds of role reversal stories will only become more common and common. And these air quote feminine men who are looking to be provided for will continue to go for an easy mark, an easy opportunity, will continue to fleece so that they can take their boss woman's bag to impress a younger woman. Now, what exactly is hypogamy? For those of you who don't know, hypogamy is when a woman either dates, marries, procreates, or creates a family with a man of a lesser caste, status, stature, or a man who monetarily earns significantly less than his relationship counterpart. These are often the relationships where successful women will often naively believe that who has the money in a relationship should not matter if love is present. But in a hypogamous relationship dynamic, the woman is usually the breadwinner or the main provider of the family dynamic. And she ends up doing silly things like buying her own wedding and engagement rings, and doing silly things like giving her man some money so that a woman can pretend that her man is spoiling her. However, in hypogamy, the roles are often lopsided and reversed in ways that work against both a masculine man's wiring and a feminine woman's wiring. So here are the main reasons why so many women have settled and will continue to settle for hypogamy: miseducation and the lack of awareness. Many women aren't aware of hypogamy or hypergamy or of relationship power dynamics at all. Sexual compatibility, marrying for love, for sex, or either marrying for lust and or sexual compatibility is very common. And although sexual chemistry is an important part of having relationship compatibility, all honeymoon phases will eventually cool off. This is where the importance of the power dynamics of hypergamy or hypogamy will often start to take shape in a relationship. A lack of a hypergamous example. Most women who settle for hypogamy are simply repeating what was modeled to them as children. The masculine or the feminine principle usually isn't taught at home and isn't taught on television or in public schools. So how are women supposed to know how to be hypergamous if it isn't modeled to them by their mothers or anywhere else for that matter? Another reason, the naive belief that both men and women are equal in romantic relationships. When it comes to romance, both men and women have been engineered to believe that they are the same, when nothing could be further from the truth. And don't argue with me, argue with your liver, because in romance, both men and women have a completely different operating system called genetic wiring. Another less familiar reason for hypogamy, codependency, people-pleasing, parentification, alcoholic or drug abuse, or being trapped inside of a narcissistic family dynamic. Women who grow up in narcissistic families and or dysfunctional family dynamics are usually browbeaten with having to serve the needs of others at the expense of themselves. And they tend to carry their people-pleasing ways into the family dynamic of a hypogamous relationship. Now, here are some of the often undiscussed consequences of what happens with hypogamy and men. And understanding this is critical, especially for an inexperienced man who thinks and believes that his woman making more money than him will not affect him or his ego. In reality, hypogamous men are often emasculated, disrespected, tolerated, dismissed, dissed, cheated on, devalued, and they are often only used for procreation. And in the scenario of marriage, a hypogamous husband, if he isn't the main provider, will feel lost, misguided, useless, not needed, and not respected by his wife or her extended family or his community at large, and will generally be viewed by his community as a bum, a user, an opportunist, a snake, a scammer, a swindler, a trickster, a dusty, a charlatan, or a con artist. Just take your pick. Hypogamous men can and will generally be experienced as passive to passive-aggressive to outright hostile and spiteful, as a man will typically be at his best, ladies, when he is a respected provider, protector, and leader of his relationship and is the respected head of his family. Now, the tragic consequences of hypogamy for women: being overworked, drained, tired, chronic fatigue syndrome, operating completely in her masculine as a breadwinner, stressed, overburdened, being in poor health, not being able to take a break or to depend on her man for provision, stability, and or security. And more importantly, zero time for rest, restoration, leisure, feminine development, nor is there adequate time to nurture her husband and or her children because she's always out and about, hustling and on her grind to make a dollar. Now, here are some realistic solutions for hypogamy. Number one, unlearning and unpacking. A feminine education and a commitment to feminine development are a must in evolving from this mindset. This is why I started the new feminine school. Number two, dating and marrying hypergamously are imperative in avoiding role reversal, but your feminine dating skills must be top tier. Number two, know your state laws. Educate yourself on your state, your city, and or your country's marriage laws if you are a woman who out-earns most men or if you are the breadwinner. Number three, get a highly recommended marriage attorney. Marriage is a business, ladies, so when you're the top earner, make it your priority, not an afterthought, to hire the best lawyer that you can find so that an ironclad prenuptial agreement can be created to minimize future wage garnishments and or to avoid future financial losses. And please keep in mind that if children are involved, you may still have to pay child support according to your level of income. Number four, consider not ever marrying. When a woman has her own bag and is her own provider, she doesn't always need marriage to have a long-lasting relationship and or romantic partner fulfillment. However, most women are wired to want marriage, and not too many women, like Oprah Winfrey, will forego marriage by choice. And number five, Practice grace and self-forgiveness if you are caught up in a hypogamous dynamic. If you are a woman who married a bum, cut your losses, grieve, hire a therapist, practice self-forgiveness, and educate yourself on what went wrong so that your history doesn't repeat itself. Now, by the time that a woman enters into a role reversal dynamic like a Mary or a Wendy or a Nikki or a Rihanna or a Halle Berry, it is often too late to change the tides because of her already internally damaged programming, which unfortunately takes years and years of unlearning and unpacking to evolve as a woman. This is why I started this feminine channel. There is so much about Mary that we love and adore. Again, she's a concrete rose and a survivor. And in my opinion, she really doesn't understand how beautiful she really is. And this may ruffle some feathers to hear, and some feelings will be hurt. But energetically, Mary J. Blige is masculina to the bone. Have you not seen her play the role of Monet Tejada so beautifully in Power? Mary J. Blige would need a great deal of feminine intervention to possibly arrive at a place of being a hypergamous feminine receiver. Ladies, you don't just attract a provider by saying that you're not going to pay a man's way anymore. So Mary's understanding of what exactly happened between her and Ken Don't will need to be unpacked, and lots of personal changes on her part would have to be made so that she no longer attracts feminine men. Feminine men like Ken Don't will always be drawn to masculine women. The stronger, the better. So that is all that I have to say on this for now. Hypogamy is unfortunately now a role reversal standard for many races of accomplished women. And as long as a woman wants marriage and a family, she must do the necessary work of protecting her bag, whether she earned it or whether she inherited it. So, ladies and lurkers, now that we fully understand that men cannot be shamed out of wanting financial compensation, nor will they be shamed into walking away with their pride and their dignity intact, what could have Mary J. Blige done differently? And do hypogamous husbands deserve a role reversal payday or a paycheck when they've put in the work in being a part of a boss woman's support system, as was the case of Janet Jackson and her ex-husband Renee, who received a lofty divorce settlement? Should a woman have to pay for a man's lifestyle? And when entitled ex-husbands finally decide to cash out, why do they try to take it all? And as always, I look forward to reading your amazing responses to this video below. And stay tuned for more cautionary tales to come. And I will catch up with you ladies and lurkers in the next one.